is a review of a Senville Aura premium mini split air conditioner and heat exchanger. I bought this and installed it last June from the Senville air conditioning company. I believe they're out of Quebec. I bought it mail order out of eBay, if I'm not mistaken, from sogoodtobuy.com. That's all one word, so good to buy. Disclaimer here. They approached me via email to do a review. They offered $100 for a review, but I declined that. This is a review entirely on my own volition. So there's no money changing hands on it. Let me go into the room that it's a 12,000 BTU unit. This room that it is installed in is southern exposure. It's 11 feet by 17 feet with cathedral ceilings. And although the windows are thermal with argon gas, this room is absolutely difficult to heat and cool. It's not attached to the house for cooling and heating in any way. There's simply a large door that you go into the house proper, so it is difficult. Now, I've had the Senville unit long enough for me to actually comment on all of its functionality. It has a remote control and a number of different modes, from auto to cooling to dehumidify to heat to fan. And I have used the unit in all modes since it's been installed. The auto mode not so much, because essentially we don't have that kind of weather where it'll swing from one to the other. But in any event, the cooling in the summertime, it's quite impressive. Within 10 minutes, this room, from a dead start in the middle of the afternoon when the temperature in the room is hovering around 98, within 10 minutes it's nice and comfortable. It pulls a ton of water out in both the dry mode and in the air conditioning mode. We have a very large barrel down in the corner here that we feed the water into, and that fills up very quickly. The heat mode on the heat exchanger, I waited until we'd gotten well into winter to do this review, primarily because I wanted to see its performance in a Canadian winter. The unit is rated down to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, if I'm not mistaken, which is pretty optimistic. It's actually pretty useless. What I found in practice is that anything around 18 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, efficiencies drop off sufficient that it really doesn't do that good a job, which is why I left the original baseboard heaters in the room when I installed the mini split. The baseboard heaters I've never liked because they're convection current and the room ends up spotty and it's either too hot or too cold. It's a major pain. But in conjunction with the fan function of the Senville, I'm finding I have the best of both worlds. We turn the heat off at night, of course, and when I get up in the morning, I check the outside temperature. If it's 20 or above, I turn the heat exchanger on the Senville, and it keeps this room very, very nice all through the day. If the temperature is below 20 degrees, I will kick in the baseboard heaters and put the Senville to fan only. And that combination mixes the air, and again, very, very toasty. As far as my overall opinion of the unit, very, very pleased with it. And the installation was my fault entirely, and certainly I would relish the opportunity to do it all over again, because I wouldn't make the mistakes that I did the first time. not so much a question of their instruction manual. It was more of my inexperience than anything else. But it does the job, so I'm happy. The only criticism that I have for the unit is that within about 2 weeks of installing it, I don't know whether you can see it or not, there's an LED display of the temperature on the front of the unit. I think it's what they call a 7-segment display. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, a 7-segment display. One segment in each of the digits no longer works. So I have to do a kind of interpretive when I'm looking at it. It's not really a big deal because the remote will show you when it's set. Right now it's set on fan, so it's not showing anything. But if you set the remote to the cooler heat, it will show you the set temperature. And if you push on the follow me button, which is a feature this has, where it actually tries to set the temperature where the remote is sitting rather than where the Senville is sitting, it will show you the temperature where the remote is. So you get both there. I have not used the timer on off function or the turbo self clean function on it, but all other functions I have used, and the swing, the direct and the swing control the flapper there where the air goes, and it basically works as advertised. Very much so. Quite pleased with it. One thing to keep in mind as far as placement is concerned, I put it where it is now, and my desk used to sit directly underneath it. I had no place else in this room where the unit would fit, and I very quickly found out that you don't want to be, I'd say, within 8 feet of the unit when it's on air conditioned in the summer. You will freeze. So essentially, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. I moved the desk over onto this wall. It turned out to be a much, much better place for it, and that worked too. So there's my review on the Senville Aura. As far as sending away, by the way, as an aside, I could have invoked the warranty, called them up, and possibly had them repaired or send it. It's a simple circuit board. It's easy enough to get at. The front opens up to change the filters, and the board is on the inside of the front plastic fascia. So it's an easy enough thing to get at, and I'm sure they would have sent me one with that complaint. But it's such a minor thing, I really don't care. And it wasn't worth calling up and going through a folder all over it. So there you go. Would I recommend buying from them and online? Yes, I would. It was shipped very quickly, and I'll get into the strength of the containers and all of that when I actually do what I went through to get it installed. That's it for now. Thank you.